So yeah, hello everyone. Today we'll speak about the micro-frontends, about architecture. First of all, thank you for having me on this wonderful conference. Be honest, I was a little bit nervous because, when you speak about the micro-frontends in regular conferences, when there's a lot of topics and you probably the one or a few of them on the micro-frontends is the one way, is the one situation, but when there's entire day, great people, great speakers talking about the micro-frontends, and you also need to provide some kind of talk, that's a little bit, making the responsibility a little bit higher. So I want to take our talk from the technical perspective to different way, okay, to different point of view of the what is micro-frontend, how we came to micro-frontend, why micro-frontend, what is model federation, should I use micro-frontend, is micro-frontends for me at all? So let's start. First of all, you can see here, it's Danduch81. This is my Twitter and Medium. Follow me, please. I'm so close to get to the 1,000 followers. I need another 700 only. So, and my website danduch.me. You can read about me. There's just talks and my articles that I was talking and writing in previously. Okay, so about me. I'm a developer with more than 20 years of experience. I'm a full cycle evangelist, meaning everything starting from the development, testing, delivery, DevOps, the entire package. I'm a public speaker and writer on multiple languages: English, Hebrew, Ukrainian, Russian. I'm open source contributor. I'm volunteer in different projects, and also, as already said before, Meetup organizer. These pictures, by the way, these are my hobbies: yacht sailing, diving, and rock climbing. It's just, it's internet pictures. It's not like it looks on reality. So as I said, I will take us a little bit, aside, away from the micro-frontend. Let's start from the history. 60 million years ago, somewhere, dinosaurs died. And after some time, the internet appeared and JavaScript was introduced. Basically, the early adoption of the JavaScript began in 1995 by browser Netscape. I don't know if any one of our listeners have ever seen Netscape running. But yeah, this was kind of great browser. And the main use case for the JavaScript was only some very simple interactivity on the web pages, kind of form validations, some animations, and so on, but nothing more than that. The delivery of the web pages to the client was actually static. Everything was fully rendered on the backend, and static HTML files was delivered really fast to the client. No dynamic content, no single page applications. Each page, each route, each action, each change on the website required the initial rendering and initial loading of the HTML, meaning that the entire compute time and everything that was computed, calculated, business logic was on the backend only. Client had no any business logic in it. 2005, we'll go a little bit, jumping forward. 2005, Ajax was introduced. It allows update content without reloading the entire page. Okay, the asynchronous calls. And the more important part is 2006 jQuery coming into the picture. If someone of you ever, by the way, Ajax, it was introduced by Microsoft, by the way, somewhere in 1996, but it's become widely adopted in around 2005. The company who actually made this adoption, make it popular, it's Google. Okay, they're starting to use the Ajax technology in their Gmail service. Okay, and if someone who remember the first tried play with the Ajax on the old-fashioned way, it's extremely difficult to write the function that will execute the Ajax code. Okay, XHTTP, XML, whatever many other letters request. the function is about 50, 60, 70 lines long. Streaming, event handling, error handling, it's everything. It was very, very complicated. So jQuery came with the two main features. The easy DOM manipulation, okay, all this dollar sign and API that allows to manipulate the DOM very easy, and dramatically simplifying the Ajax interactions. Okay, they made the conversation, the communication with the server much easier. Okay, and by the way, this time around 2005, 2006, 2007, when we're starting to see the decoupling between backend development and front-end development. Okay, by the way, we will see how we have circles, how history like making circles around the same thing. So in 2005, 2006, before that, prior to this, everyone was full cycle development. Okay, the same developer was developing Python, PHP or Ruby on Rails and HTML, just because it was part of the same file. Okay, part of this file, PHP file, you had the HTML tag. So the overall full cycle development. Now we have front end and backend developers. Delivery to the clients, large files, manual imports, all these JavaScript files. It was prior to all the module combination, modularity, and stuff like this. So we had to have in the file, JavaScript file, with 2,000 lines. That was absolutely okay in that days. Okay, not combined. I mean, like literally managing, trying to manage the files. It was much higher. I saw files for 10 and 15,000 lines. As in any other aspects of our history, there is something big that actually leading and pushing things forward. In our world, in the world of the web development, SaaS is actually what the main use case and the main cause for all changes that we had for the last decades, for the last 2 decades. Similar to like, the global world industrialization moved people from countries to from outside to cities into the cities, urbanic and manufacturing and all this stuff. Similar to this, SaaS, the ability and understanding that the product service can be served as a as a service from the browser, etc., etc., etc. All this leads us to creation of the new frameworks. Okay, all these actually. The people out of the SaaS platforms, the people out of the SaaS companies, and SaaS companies by itself, they are made a huge investment and impact on how we develop in the web applications right now. Okay, and we can see here for 2010, basically, I don't remember if Backbone or Ember.js, one of them introduced the idea of MVC, model view controller, right? Later on, Angular coming with a model view, whatever, but basically 2010, 2014, this is the era of the SPA, single page applications. Okay, nobody was thinking about in that times, again, why I'm talking about the SaaS and services as software as a service, is they wasn't care about one very important thing. They don't care about it right now also. If someone of you working on some kind of back office system, SaaS platforms and stuff like this, we don't care about search engine optimization. We don't care about how Google indexes. Okay, so we don't. And as you might know, single page applications are not quite good for search engine optimization. Google don't like it. Okay, they do have ability to index it, but it's cost them more money. It requires additional compute time. They don't like it. It works not immediately like any other server-side rendered page. So single page applications was pushed and basically enforced to become widely adopted by SaaS platforms. Okay. About the delivery, the way we deliver it to the client, we already have just JavaScript builders, minifications, browser for, and other libraries and builders and helpers what actually helps us to deliver the application to the client. Okay. Next, 2016. In 2016 happens two things. Okay, Angular 2 was introduced, and Micro-Frontend was introduced first time. Coincidence? I don't think so. And the future. Okay, see, this is where we are right now. We're talking about the Micro-Frontends a lot, multiple technologies, multiple possibilities. It's kind of various of games that we can play around the Micro-Frontends. Let's see what we have. The way we we're actually delivering the application is by builders like Webpack, lazy loading, parser, rollup. And by the way, we came back to server-side rendering again, right? Angular Universal, Next.js, and other frameworks that allows us to create server-side rendering. Basically, we made the circle back to the 1995. Now we're thinking, basically what happened is the way things was developed for the SaaS platform, we decided that, hey, we wanted also to develop for the regular websites too, for the like blog kind of websites and other commercial sites and other websites where the search engine optimization is highly important. That's why we want server-side rendering. Okay, it's also improve performance and stuff, but the main issue is server-side rendering. Okay. Let's go forward. And we came back to the full stack development, right? Like we had before 2006. Now we also full stack development. We're developing on the backend and on the client side. History, love circles. Third, micro-frontends. When we're talking about the micro-frontends, in 80% of the times when we're trying to sell the micro-frontends to our managers, we're talking about these 5 points, okay? These 5 advantages of the micro-frontends. So let's go one by one and see what actually we're talking about. The modular. One product, multiple team. I believe that, but by the way, again, I'm sorry, I need to apologize, disclaimer. I believe that some of these things, I'm almost the last or one before the last one on this conference, so probably some of the things you already heard from different people, maybe it's slightly different. So yeah, that's, this one top, that's what happened when there is only one topic on the entire day. So I hope it still will be interesting to see the opinion, how to deal with this when we sell it, and what does that mean, by the way, for us, not only for the stakeholders. So one product, multiple teams. Basically mean that developers team can work on individual micro applications independently. For example, in the company where I work now, in Dell, we have one product and multiple teams, and these teams can sit across time zones in different countries. And having micro frontends is actually very helpful when each team delivers its own section of the entire application, and we don't step on each other's toes. The problematic on this is actually code duplication and testing complexity. There was a question previously about the testing complexity, and there is, when you have the micro, especially if you, in our case, for example, we have micro frontends that can be used by multiple applications sometimes. Okay, for example, think about it that you have a dashboard that can be implemented in the different UI applications, and having this meaning that you need actually to test the same micro frontend under the multiple applications, because you don't quite sure if it's, if you don't break any other of the applications that use your micro frontend that you develop. It also can lead to code duplications, because if you're talking about the absolutely standalone, absolutely decoupling of the developers' teams, it happened that the same business logic is implemented more than once. Okay, so it's also something that might be not so good, but again, sometimes this is the price that we're ready to pay. The most important part here is actually to understand the price. Okay, technology agnostic, long time running products. In long run time running products, same as also heard someone talked about it several times, that different teams can choose their own Tuesday on technology. Someone want to work on React, someone want to work on Angular. So why we need to stop ourselves? And again, there's advantages about it when you want to move people in between the teams. In general, multiple frameworks on the same product. Like when I'm talking about the long time running product, the multiple frameworks on same product on migration, transition, and transaction from one technology to another one. When we have the product that's running more than 2, 3, 5 years, okay, and we want to move from Angular.js to Angular, from Angular to React, from Vue to React, from React to Vue, whatever it is, okay, Micro-Frontend can really help to do it partially step by step and to update it separately, each one of the sections, update the technology. Again, it also can be used for different teams, different technologies. But having multiple technologies in the same product is the worst practice ever. Okay, it's a bad practice. I'm begging you. Trust me. You don't want to have multiple technologies on your product. It's a headache. It's just, it can work only if teams are different companies. Okay, if one of your micro-frontends is developed somewhere outside and you don't care what's going on, you never will work with it. You never will work with this code. You never will have access to this code. Okay, you have only to the defined build. So having multiple technologies on the same product, it's a not good practice at all. If you're moving from one technology to another one, you have to build a well-designed plan, how you're doing it step by step, and all stakeholders have to be signed on it, okay? And you have to set milestones and deadlines and stick to these deadlines to ensure that you actually will change it. Otherwise, you will stuck with multiple technologies, with legacy, and it will take you years to remove it, and it still will be there, and it will be like a black box, and people who developed it, they will leave your company, and you're not going to understand what's going on, how to deal with this. Okay, you won't be able to even to refactor it because there are people who develop it not in the company already, etc., etc., etc. So having multiple technologies, it's not good unless it's absolutely decoupled and you actually know the price that you're paying on. If you use micro-frontends for the purpose to transaction from one technology to another one, you have to create a good design plan for yourself and milestones and deadlines. In dependency CI/CD and the delivery cycle, basically it allows us each one of the micro-frontends to develop, to test, and to deliver on the life cycle when I want. Okay, maybe one of the products, one of the micro-frontends can have many changes. One is once a month. Some micro-frontends might have daily changes on the daily basis, deliveries, etc. So ability to deliver only the application, to update application partially by updating specific micro-frontend, that's one of the good advantages of the micro-frontend concept. Partial scaling, the same thing. Sometimes we have the micro-frontend, by the way, they also can be, it's when micro-frontend are absolutely standalone and they kind of using iframes or something behind. You can actually have one of the micro-frontends to be server-side rendered because this part is also exposed to search engine, to Google indexing and stuff. And other, no, it can be just, like single page applications. It's also a possibility. So partial scaling allows, like a microservices, allows us one of the micro-frontends to be more scale than another one. That leads to the DevOps. Okay, that leads to the fact that you need good DevOps guys or someone who understands in this, all the area of the load balancers and gateway managing and routing and communication between them and authorization. Someone asked how to make the authorization in this case, etc., 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 etc. It's when basically each microphone it's dedicated instances. It's deployable, standalone deployable unit. That's make it the entire infrastructure pretty much heavy. and requires expert and expertise who will actually manage it, okay? And highly important if you go into this use case. So it's highly important to have more than one person who can update, deliver, deploy, whatever, maintain, and monitor the applications 24/7. So you need at least 2 people on it. UX performance KPI. Yes, sometimes we want to deal. Sometimes we will, for example, I had a use case when the entire application was written on React, but we had one complicated UI canvas with some logic, etc., and the entire component, just to reduce the just make it as fast as possible, okay, was written on vanilla JavaScript without any usage of any framework. Any library was actually on vanilla JavaScript, even without TypeScript. For some reason, I don't remember why I decided even not to use the TypeScript for this. But basically, the idea was to write it on the specific module to be written on vanilla JavaScript because of the performance of the entire micro-frontend section. So this is also one of the options, okay? Just because it allows us to have multiple technology, we can also improve one if needed or where is needed, improve, make additional dedicated improvements for the performance KPIs for specific micro-frontend, okay? Yeah, this actually will lead to, such use cases will lead to some difficulties with the communications and state management between different micro-frontends. Ooh, sorry. Okay, let's code something. As I promised, we will code. At least I promised it on the description. So basically, what we see here right now, it's empty monorepo by Narwhal. NX workspace, if someone knows. NX, it's building tool that's really helpful to manage monorepo also, but not only, okay? Narwhal is actually a building tool that can help you with a lot of things, build, test, and deliver, and manage your code base. It doesn't provide any new type of building. You decide what type of the building to use. You can use Webpack, you can use Fight, you can use rollups if you want, you can use any other builders, but NX helps you to manipulate it. So here you can see it's empty, okay, the apps is empty, dist I will delete, libs also, what's going on? That's what, okay. Tools is empty, generators, server, I don't know what is this. So basically I just, it's kind of, I did NX create workspace and that's what it created. And now all I want to generate micro-frontend. Okay, so I'll ask NX to generate. I want to use React. I can use Angular if you want. Okay, but in our case, I will use React, for example. And I want to generate host, and I will give a name, my MFE. This is my host name, MFE, my application. The main application will have the name Micro-Frontend. Okay, and I will add few remotes. Okay, one of them I will call dashboard, and another one I will call settings. Okay, so I have now one application with a multiple micro-frontends. Let's click on enter. Let's hope that Windows not gonna play with me what type of the styling I want to use. In our case, of course, SAS. Okay, and we have here 3 micro-frontends, created dashboard, my MFE, the main host, and the settings, right? And also it adds the end-to-end, but we can skip it if you want. So now I want to serve it and use my MFE. mixer, my MFE. Wait a little bit. I will drink some coffee. Move. Oh, wonderful. Okay. Something working, something working, something working, something working, something working. You can see it compiles the remote.js. Probably someone already showed you how this things works. Manfred's thread have great talks about it. Okay, so here we go. We can see here, okay, this is my MFE, okay, that's served on port 4200. Okay, we have also already navigation implemented here to the dashboard. Welcome to dashboard, to the settings, welcome to settings. I also can navigate, basically I also can see each one of the micro-frontends standalone. You see here only the dashboard, doesn't serve, there's no navigation just because it's only the micro-frontend specific, okay, and the settings also the specific micro-frontend, and that's it. So what I want to show is actually how easy with the correct tooling, okay, you can create and manage your micro-frontends. Okay, this is it. You want to do micro-frontends, here it is, ready, one-liner. You have host and 2 micro-frontends already ready for development, for delivery, and everything like that. Okay, let's continue to our, let's go back to our presentation. Let's split the app. Now, this is one of the important parts. When we have existing applications and we want actually to split it, when we start the application, by the way, this is the easiest way. This is the one of the famous and my favorite situations when I come to the new product and saying, hey, just build it from scratch. And you have enough time to build the technology, to decide the technology, to select the technology, to select the architecture, to build the architecture, to split everything, you're sitting with the product. It's great time. A lot of offsite meetings, etc. So it's good. But when we're talking about the existing product and we need actually to say, I want to start splitting to micro-frontends because we are growing up, we have a lot of teams now, it's difficult to work, we need to show the application into the other place. So here's the things, there's different options, okay? Domain-driven design. Domain-driven design says that is based on domain. For example, in our case, it can be based on settings, based on let's take a look. Let's like Google Documents. Okay, we have Sheets, we have Google Docs, we have Google Slides, right? Each one is domains. Each one can be micro-frontend. Okay, specific on basic business domain. And then in that case, each team will work on the separate area in the business domain with this expertise, with this API, with these endpoints, with these microservices, etc. Okay, each one will have dedicated microservices, of course, and databases, etc., etc., etc. The integration in between can be complex because sometimes products taking each one. Also, the main problem can be with in common modules. Usually, it's around the roles, permissions, and authorization modules. That can be a little bit complex and tricky if you don't have well-signed and well-closed contract before you actually starting to split. As soon as you have the contract that all parts, all domains are signed on it, okay, all code owners for each one of the domains signed to the same contract, you'll be okay. Multiple spas. Basically, multiple spas says, okay, I don't care about domain. The same domain can have also multiple micro-frontends, meaning less or more like each one of the paths on the URL, it's dedicated micro-frontend, or each one of the navigation, on the menu navigation, each one of the sections is a micro-frontend. It's also the possibility. In that case, you don't have dedicated domain, okay? It's just based on page, each page micro-frontend, or each 2-3 pages micro-frontend. Each team can work on the separate single page. Absolutely okay. Integration usually in this case much simpler, just because in this case you will require in the beginning to build layer that will actually communicate with all single page applications, and each one of the single page applications will basically subscribe to this layer and get all the relevance. So each single page application will have its own, will be enforced to use the predefined contract. Micro-Frontend and components as components. This is more like module federation. Okay, I would call module federation, and I don't like the name of the micro-frontend because now it's making a lot of confuse when you're talking, especially when you talk with the people who are not so technical wise, and you're talking about and tell me we want micro-frontends, let's use micro-frontends. When you're asking what exactly do you want to get, what is actually the final target, what do you want to achieve by using the micro-frontend, you realize that they don't need micro-frontends. They want module federation or web components that are basically very similar. Okay, the idea is to wrap it up, to take some component on React, on Angular, on other framework, and wrap it up the way that you can use it in any other application. So with module federation, Webpack helps you to do it, like the library itself helps to do it. Then Webpack builds it the way, then you can consume it on the runtime or during the build time and use it in the application. Similar like if it was some npm package, okay, and you can use it during the build time. So there's main difference here when you're talking about the module federation or web component, installable web component, is basically the way and when this component appears on your application, okay, during the build time, during the delivery time, or during the runtime in the consumer end user browser. So this is highly important to understand, because sometimes it's like on my current product, we realize that web components will be much easier and much simpler to implement and to maintain in the long run than to start dealing with the micro-frontends. Okay, it just doesn't help us. It doesn't solve the problem that we want. So when you're running, there's one of the important things that you need to ask yourself, and your product, especially if product coming with I heard about the micro-frontends, let's move to micro-frontends, ask him to describe, this is very interesting, ask him to describe what they want to achieve without using words micro-frontend and module federation. Okay, they need to remove these buzzwords from their language and describe you what exactly they want to achieve. And then you can come with the answer, okay, either micro-frontend is an answer, module federation is an answer, maybe web component is an answer, maybe none of it, maybe everything is okay as it's now, okay? Micro-frontend versus module federation, I believe previously I already explained. Basically, I'm not going to read all this. The main difference between micro-frontends and module federation is that micro-frontend is, for me at least, maybe I'm wrong, maybe someone will correct me, is that it's a deployable standalone unit that actually can be accessed from outside, okay? While module federation is not necessarily deployable, it's not necessarily something that I can access to, and I can just, it can be also not accessible on specific port, with an index file that show me the application, but it can be just set of JavaScript files that laying somewhere on the server, on the CDN, anywhere served by from somewhere, that my application, when running on the client, on the browser, can actually go there and load on the lazy loading way, similar to how it's load the lazy loading modules, load these components into the application and loading this JavaScript, load this JavaScript and showing the application. But it's not necessary that you're actually able to see this, dashboards, tables, or whatever when it's module federated. You can skip it, basically. Okay, you can just put these files, remote JS files, remote entry JS files there, and forget about it. That's it. Thank you very much. Again, read me on Medium, follow me on Twitter, write your comments on video, ask me questions. You can ask me questions in Twitter if you want, or I don't know, find me, ping me, and that's it. That's more. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thanks a lot. Now, before we cover the questions and also make the raffle, one apology, because you also, of course, got a speaker's shirt, but it's still in transit. And so that's the thing with outsourcing such important deliveries. So hopefully it will arrive to you. We'll make sure you get your shirt. Unfortunately, not before the conference, so we can't time travel yet. But yeah, the Dell shirt also suits you very well. So
yeah, so I was thinking about what other shirt can be. I said, okay, I will put that there. And it's kind of same colors, less or more, same.
Great. All right, we got some questions in the chat, so let's go over them. Please. From Nikolai, when working for a client with multiple suppliers, you're possibly forced to work in mixed technology projects. Is it always that bad as a practice? Probably not from the client's point of view. What is your opinion here?
Okay. If you're a supplier, if you are a vendor, and you can work with the multiple technologies, that's great for you and probably for all your customers. But even for customer to have just having some project or product that built in multiple technologies without any specific reason for this, it's a problem. Regardless, either it's on client, if we're talking about the client, or microservices, or backend, or whatever. Okay. I saw a lot of projects that they had. Oh, let's start with we started with the Python just because it's easy. We start up, we need to run fast. Python, everyone knows, it's kind of just go and it's running. Then no, but this microservice it have to be faster, okay? Because our compute time cost us a lot of money, cloud money. Let's go. Okay, let's run with Go. They run into refactoring to the Go land. Then come new guys, okay, new team lead, and saying, I don't like Go, Java. Java, it's something, trust me, Java is Java. And then we have another three microservices running on Java now, okay? But then you come into the situation when, one, you don't have people who actually understand what's going on in the services, okay? Because the guy who created Go service already left. He moved to another work. And he was responsible for the service. As soon as he was working, everyone was quiet, but now he left, and now we need to find someone with the Go, but why? Yeah. Okay, so having unreasonable multiple technologies, it's not a good way. Yeah. And let's face it, if in backend we can say that this language is better for data processing, and that language is better for the performance-wise, and another language is better for the multiple connections, okay, for gateway applications and stuff like this. And in UI, we don't have such differences, okay? Vue, React, Angular, Lead, web components, dev components, in terms of performance or something like this, they're less or more the same area. Yeah. Okay? So just because team like it or team want it, okay, let's give them the side pet project or something like this. Okay, let's give. I believe in relatively big companies, always there is something that should be done additionally, and we're not doing because we don't have time. So let's do it. Let's give them, to try to teach and learn stuff. But in purpose to do multiple technologies, no, it's not a good idea. You will stuck with this, and one day you will stuck without. In one day, you will have the job description. You will look for someone with the job description. I need 10 years with React, 10 years with Angular, 10 years with Vue.js, in 10 years with web components, please, where's this magic girl who can develop it?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Fully agreed. Next question from Robson. Are NX workspaces useful for just a couple of micro-frontends?
NX workspaces, it's, I'm just, don't ask me. It's like if you will ask if my wife is most beautiful women in the world, okay? So NX Workspaces is the best tool you can find, and it's best gift you can do for yourself and for your project, especially if you start projects from scratch. It's have also ability to add it to existing project, okay? It just requires a little bit more effort, but as soon as you implement it, as soon as you introduce it in your company and in your project, it will help you regardless if you have one application without micro-frontends, just simple applications, or you have micro-frontends, you have application with the multiple libraries and shareable libraries, etc., etc., etc. I really suggest you to go and read about NX and what it does. I suggest you to go and find Satoshi Yadav talk about the one build tool is all you need. He talks about it, about the Narwhal and NX. And it is literally, it's one tool build that you need for yourself, for your project, and it will help you with the testing, delivery, CI/CD, building, libraries, shareable, publishable if you want to publish it in NPM, etc., etc., etc. It requires some changing of state mind, how you manage your code. It actually adds some kind of sorry for my English, way to manage, the code structure, the folder structure. Okay, it's kind of making enforcement on some things, but in overall, it's making you just better because in that case, your code is much cleaner, etc., etc. And if you use unit test, NX have this great functionality, NX affected, when it's test only the affected unit test. Okay, it will run only the unit test on the code that you changed, and unit test that on code that your changes are affecting on, and not entire 2000 tests. Okay, so reduce time for the CI, especially if you use Git hooks, etc. So it's good to use for any project.
Cool. And if you like an entry level
truck, smaller, smaller. Just yes, it's good for everyone.
And my obligatory remark is, if you like an entry-level truck, use Lerna, because it's under the hood also NX powered, so it gives you a speed up right away without having to deal with all the orchestration.
By the way, Lerna is going end of life for good for NX, and the last version of Lerna was developed by NX developers to make the transaction from Lerna to NX smoother. So it's telling something about the NX.
Yeah, they took it over with version 4 of Lerna. And just released version 7, but it's really great. So next question. What other monorepo and micro-frontend technologies are used in your company?
Monorepo and micro-frontend technologies. Other monorepo. Basically, in our company, again, it's a very interesting question, because lately I introduced the monorepo in one of our projects, and it was kind of a little bit, everyone was kind of scary. Monorepo. No, it's not monorepo. It looks like monorepo. You're just taking the project and you cover it with the tool that manages monorepo. Doesn't make it monorepo. Okay. It looks like monorepo. It's probably, you can call it monorepo, but it doesn't mean that now you will pull all the project into this repository. No need. Okay, you can have the repository that managed by monorepo tool like NX, and have it standalone project, etc. Okay, and all libraries, etc. will be managed like in regular monorepo. It will just help you. If you want to add new application in it, etc., you're welcome. If you don't want, you don't need. So when you see the monorepo tool and you want to introduce the monorepo tool, it might scare people because they think, oh, now we need to move all our 55 repositories into one. No, you don't need. Okay, it's not the reason. About the other micro-frontend technologies, we have a lot. We're using different approaches. Some of them even was developed internally in Dell. Basically, we use Angular, we use React, we use with all the additional the Angular architecture, Micro-Frontend, model federation plugin, etc. So basically, it's a big company, so we're using, I believe, everything. All possible options, they are in some way can be found in our code base.
Cool. Next one. Julius, did you have a chance to compare different tools to handle micro-frontends in a monorepo? How NX compares with Bit in terms of developer experience?
I'm not familiar with Bit.
So Bit, there's a compile time micro-frontends where you put your components on bit.dev and essentially...
when you put it outside somewhere, I see. So is the different... If there... Okay, so I probably not going to be answering on this question just because I never used any service to serve micro-frontends. All my experience is by using NX as managing, again, not for micro-frontends. NX, it's just a build tool to manage the code. Instead of having Webpack, Vint, Lint, whatever separately, I have NX to help this. But again, so I use the Micro-Frontend model federation plugin from the Webpack, Angular architectures, etc. Together with the NX. NX, as you saw, have also using this Angular architecture model too for Angular applications, and the Webpack plugin for others. So again, we just, in my experience, it's by having all this, developed and delivered manually in company, in-house, and I never used any external service for helping this. So it was good enough for me as it now.
It works. Don't need to touch it. That's always the best. So, Alexandra, if we use NX affected to build and run pipeline only for apps that have changes, how can we notify the shell that we have new versions of some apps?
Okay. Wow. I really was supposed to answer much shorter on X, because now it's the questions that a little bit looks like I'm misleading people to the different to wrong conclusions. NX affected used for unit test to test the things that code that you change. Okay, so we'll test the unit test around this code and around the code that your changes can affect too. Okay, for example, you have a library of components, and this library of components have access, use API access library. You make changes in API access library, it will make a test for both of them, okay? Only on the code that it relates to. That's why, by the way, Narwhal suggests to make a library as small as possible. In that case, you will your test will run much faster, because usually our changes, they're very small. Okay, sorry for taking it offside. It also can build. It also can make a build effective. Okay, just to rebuild the applications or to rebuild the libraries that you had the change code in it. It's all good for CI/CD, for CI. Okay, for integration, testing, night builds, etc. But when you're doing actual delivery for the production, I would build everything from scratch and act like you don't have anything affected, okay? The same way like you will tell to the other application that, hey, there's a new version of dashboard, for example, okay? Laying somewhere on the CDN, which I just, so go and pull it. Next time when someone reloads, you need to go and get the new version. I don't know how you're doing it. Okay, basically it can be done via the by pulling the settings for host application. You can pull some kind of JSON file with the settings and definition, either it's need to update or not, because we're using, for example, the progressive web app. When you use the manifest file and you have files preloaded and saved in local cache, etc., and we have the buster cache. As soon as we realize that we need to update the version of our client. So we're going actually removing the files from the local cache from the browser and downloading the new ones. So, but yeah, it's not about the effect. There's nothing related for the MX in this case. Okay, when you deploy the production, it's better that you will deploy the production the way you want, the best whatever that works for you.
Great. Now, Gokul asks, how is your experience in the aspect of testing for micro-frontends?
This is kind of a complicated question because it's all about the use case. Because one of the things that I didn't touch touched a little bit in my talk is why do you have micro-frontends? Okay, so yes, we talked about that it's multiple teams, etc., etc., etc. But I had, for example, a requirement that says I have two different applications and I want each one of this application have the dashboard, the same dashboard. Okay, it's not a common use case. When you read about the micro-frontends, this case is never one of the use cases why you need it. Okay, they're all talking about big teams, big companies, easier delivery, life cycle of delivery, etc. But nobody actually talks what's going on if I just want the same dashboard on two different products. Okay, now in this case, testing becomes very complicated. Why? Because I need to test the same micro-frontend twice, UI test under the one host and under the another host. And this, by the way, also not a good approach. Like I don't like this use case because different products, different product owners, different requirements, and then sooner or later, you will come to the situation when you have on your dashboard micro-frontend application a lot of if-else. Okay, if I'm under the one application running, or if I'm running under the another application. Okay, and that leads to the testing twice and many other options. So many other complexity and headache and effort that not quite sure if it's worth it. Okay. So unless your application micro-frontend running under the same host always, and it can be standalone, and it can access without host, without data from host, without, let's say access tokens or anything like this, can access the data that you want to your micro-frontend to be tested with, you're okay. You're absolutely okay. Doesn't give you any extra complexity. But as soon as, for example, in my specific use case, what I'm developing right now, it's adds just gives me extra permutation of different tests that have to run, and basically it requires me to build both products simultaneously on parallel or whatever and test it. So, but in general, in regular use case, it's not a big complexity. It doesn't give you a lot of complexity.